All right. Hey everyone. Hello. Hey everyone. Welcome to Code Live. My name is Mohit. I am a developer advocate here at Salesforce. And I want to welcome you to another episode of Code Live. Today is Thursday, and again, my favorite day because, we will be spending an hour building live code. So, what are we gonna build today? Today, I'll be building LWCs, and I don't get often to build these LWCs, so I'm so excited that I will get some hands-on today with the LWC. And today, we're gonna work with GraphQL Wire Adapter in LWC. So, if you haven't got chance to work on them, just stay with me here for an hour. We'll build something useful, something practical, and the aim of that is also to show the developer experience that we have with GraphQL, and also show you how easy it is. Once you kind of get used to it, and definitely it adds a lot of functionalities that you might need, like pagination, sorting, or being able to refresh data, right? So a lot of functionality can be just worked out once you sort that bare bone code, and once you get through this learning journey of GraphQL. And I want to make this easier for you, so I'm excited that we have this live coding session. All right, so without further ado, let me actually share my screen and start just going through some resources that I have, so we get all familiar with all the resources that we have here to help build us lightning web components and use GraphQL. And then once we are familiar with these resources, we'll get into the coding. So how about I turn this up, and hopefully you all can see my screen. It's hopefully it is a full screen, and you all can see it pretty well. Let me know in the chat if you have some issues actually seeing the screen. If not, I'm just gonna continue working on them. um, I'm just monitoring the chat here. Let's bring up the chat. um, yeah, so looks all good. All good. Thumbs up. Use the chat. Just say thumbs up if everything is looking good. If not, just let me know. And I can see what we can do to make this more cleaner. Cool. No response in the chat, so I'm gonna be assuming that it's all going good here. Um, how many streamers we have? We have 18 folks who want to nick pay, but your audio and video are not in sync, at least for me. Fahad, make sure that when you go to the quality, just switch it to HD quality if you can. And thank you, Krishnan and Athanu, for that thumbs up. That means it's all looking good. Shivam saying thank you. All right, so it's all looking good. Thank you again for confirming that. All right. So here, this is the documentation, and I think it's gonna be a really handy to have this documentation up, because there are a lot of syntax that I am not familiar myself. I had to look at it quite often to get used to it. So there are a lot of good examples here, resources of what to do, how to use it, some examples, sample code, as you can see. One of the things that caught me attention was known limitations. And as a developer, that's like my favorite section, because I want to know the solution that I'm working on, what limitations it has. So clearly looks like the team is still working on supporting experience cloud sites. Other than that, these are like nitty gritty details that doesn't bother me a lot, but just good to know that referencing a fragment is not supported. Interpolation constructs using a dollar brackets not supported at this point. And some variables like add skip and add include. So these are nitty gritty details. I don't want to go into them a lot, but something to bear in mind. And this keeps improving. Actually, we went GA in winter 24, So it will keep on improving. If you're using it for field service or mobile offline, there are some little gotchas here of how you want to work it out. Again, the docs have the details. Go check it out. But today I'm here all to show you how to work with it and build something with this. All right. So the other resource that I thought is really awesome to look at is GraphQL, sorry, LWC recipes, where we have some GraphQL recipes. So if I scroll down for all the recipes, I mean, there are a lot of recipes here, but I think we added support for some really GraphQL specific recipes. And I think, if you just search for GraphQL, so you can see we have, GraphQL refresh, contacts, variables, pagination, multiple objects. So there are a lot of LWCs, recipes for GraphQL too. Um, it starts with G, as you can see. So these are some of the recipes. So these recipes again, are very helpful because they teach you what to do with this GraphQL and how to do it. And the best part about these recipes is these are bite-sized code. That means it should make it easier to learn as a beginner too, right? And also it has tests in them, and that's what I like about it. We don't often talk about tests, but these recipes have tests and show you how to like write some unit testing. In this case it's unit testing using Jest framework. So that's really cool. So these are some of the resources that I would recommend for you to go and check it out. If you're working with LWC's GraphQL recipes. But today I'm here to live code. So we'll be live coding something, right, with these examples. So looks like we are good to go here. So one of the things that I'm gonna use today is I'm gonna use Code Builder to do my coding. So because Code Builder is live, it's available. So you see, it's a browser. I'm not using my Visual Studio Code because I just wanted to try and see, if things fail, I wanted to at least send that feedback to the product team, right? But being positive, right? I mean, so far it's been stable. I've been working with it. I like this Code Builder. It is so awesome because I can now use the browser to just build my application. So I'm going to be using Code Builder to do my coding today. So what are we going to build, right? So Dream House app is my favorite app, sample app, because it allow not only we open source the code on the GitHub, but also it has a lot of amazing LWC components. So when you're looking for LWC components, I look at Dream House because it has really nice looking LWCs and really functional LWCs. You can go to any of these tabs and you'll find a lot of examples, showing a lot of really neat, cool features here. So that's why I'm like, I like this LWC's app. So what are we gonna build today, right? So today I'm gonna be on the Property Explorer. So you see how this Property Explorer LWC component is built. It primarily does some interesting things like pagination, and then there are filters that use Lightning Message Service to filter the data. As you can see, I'm changing these filters. You can see these styles being changed. I can even search for based on the city, and it just sorts. Like for example, I searched houses in Boston. It showed me all the houses in Boston, right? So it sorts. So we have this nice working, but let's go behind the scenes and look at how this component is built. And I want to approach it differently. So I want to build something with a GraphQL today, but I'm pretty sure this uses primarily Apex. So let's actually look at the code that is existing in this application. So if you go look at that LWC, we were looking at property. I think it's called property tile list, if I'm not wrong. So property tile list. Let me actually close this terminal. So property list. I think my font. Do we want a bigger font here? That's not ebikes LWC. That's so Nikkei. This is not ebikes. This is Dream House. Let me blow up the font. I also want to show you how to blow up the font. I'm gonna just go and make the font 18 so we all can see this. Go 18, go 18. There you go. It should be much better experience now for something streaming. And also I can do this neat little thing so it kind of stretches it out and takes that sidebar out of the equation. So as you can see, we have this template. It uses property tile. Now, how is it actually getting the data? So if you look at the JavaScript, so if you look at the JavaScript controller, it actually uses Lightning Message Service. But if you look at how the data is fetched, it is using this property controller dot get paged property list. So it's doing all the pagination through this Apex controller. And by the way, I'm a big fan of Apex too. So it's not like I'm recommending that you use always um, you use just the LWC and client side JavaScript. But I'm curious today to just do everything in client side. It has its own advantages. Yeah, ebikes also has the filters. That's right. Ebikes is also on our GitHub repo. So this uses, as you can see, it uses a little bit of wrapper classes, a SQL query to do the pagination. We are passing these variables like search key, price, maximum bedroom. So these are all filter criterias. And then the pagination, like the page size and the page number to the backend. And Apex is doing all the magic. You can even see there are two queries here, like one to just get you the count and one to like do the actual records, and then we return the actual records. And then we have a wrapper class, I think somewhere. I think it is called paged results, which has its own wrapper over the records. So anyway, so as you can see, there's a lot of backend code involved. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. You can still use this approach. But I want to show you how GraphQL actually makes this whole thing a lot more easier. And if you are someone who just works on the front end, right, you will see how you can avoid having to go to the back end and write these code. A lot of you are full stack developers, so feel free to use this approach. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna create another component. Let's call it as, and to begin with, right, let's just segregate and build our own component here. I want to build another component. Let's call it as property explorer. What did we call it as? Property tile list, right? I'm gonna just call it as property explorer. Let me just call this as create a lightning component, and I'm gonna call property explorer GraphQL. I'm just gonna call this property explorer GraphQL. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna call this new component that I'm building. Just gonna call that. So this component will be using the same metadata as the property tile list. So just gonna copy over some of these things directly onto that new component that I created. Except maybe label, I want to change that to property explorer GraphQL. Okay, GraphQL, and I want to keep everything same. So here we are, and then the JS file. Also, you know what? I want to copy over the JS file that's there here, and then sort of try modifying that to a GraphQL specific thing, right? So I'm just gonna copy everything that's there. Just copy like that. What I'm gonna change here is obviously all these things looks good, except I just want to change this thing here. And then I don't want these two lines at the top. Okay, so that we can use the same message service. Now remember, I'm not going to be using this at all, right? So this will go away. So start commenting out this, because I'm going to be using the GraphQL instead of instead of the Apex controller. Everything else looks good to me. When is this starting? The time hasn't changed. uh Omar, um I have no idea. Can you clarify what has changed? But we'll keep rolling here. um, if you, again, thumbs up if you are having no issues with the stream. And anytime you have issues, just use that chat, and I'll make sure to keep monitoring that chat as I get my heads into the code here. All right, so I'm gonna keep the page number and the page size and all these variables just like that, because I think those are the variables that we will need. So we were passing all those variables to the backend, right? um, and then, what I want is, as I said, I don't want Apex here, so I'm gonna be commenting this wire. We don't need this wire anymore. But other than that, okay, this is fine because I still want the handle filter change in there, right? Thank you everyone for that thumbs up. And then the next page, handle properties selected. Okay, so this one also, these things are doing the pagination. Again, it's doing through the back end. Remember that it's all doing through that Apex controller that I showed you. We're gonna modify that. Okay, all right. So it looks good. Now let's actually take our first step, right? So our first step is to make use of that GraphQL, right? So I'm going to be importing that. So GraphQL modules, right? So there is this thing called so there is this new module called lightning. So you can say lightning and then dash, and then I think it's called graph. No, it's called UI graph. It's called UI. It should have shown me that, but maybe we need to update. So this is where our tooling sometimes falls behind, and I figured it out, and then I tell to the product teams. Maybe it gets updated today because today is Thursday and the tools are going to be getting a new version. Anyway, so it's called UI GraphQL API. That's what it's called. And you can see that syntax because I had the so where are so you can see, right? So it's UI GraphQL. Exactly, we need the syntax basically. So I'm gonna be just copy pasting that. So we have GQL and GraphQL. So these are two different functions within these module called Lightning UI GraphQL. And the first thing is, obviously, if you have to work, you'll have to import it. Okay, so that's the first step. We got through that. And the next step is, obviously, the syntax is going to be almost very, very similar to this, right? So how about we just copy some code, because we want to start from there. I'm just going to copy some code. I think probably I would use the recipes here to copy paste, because these are more we spend a lot of time on these recipes actually. So it's the cleanest code ever in our opinions. So I think I can copy paste some code from there. So I'm gonna copy paste this whole wire adapter thing there. All right, so I'm gonna be copy pasting this whole wire adapter thing here. uh, so look, the syntax is pretty similar. You have at wire, right? And then you say GraphQL, that's the module. um, Sorry, that's the function, and within that it accepts an object where you can say query, and the query will be GraphQL query. Now this is the GraphQL query actually that we need to build through for this functionality. So that will be our next task, is to build that GraphQL that we need for this specific ask here. So remember the query, we already know this query from our Apex. So it should be pretty much very similar to that. So let me actually bring up that Apex controller. So if you look at this query, what was that query? So in the query, we are querying for these property object records with these fields, and our search filters are name like this. And then we have a bunch of OR conditions for cities and tags, and then we have price and beds and baths. These are again the fields. So we are doing an and on that, and then we are ordering it by price, then we are limiting by page size, etc. So we need to get this query actually done for GraphQL. And the way I recommend, and this is one of the workflows that I've been following here, is if I want to construct a GraphQL query like this, right, to begin with, right, I I what I do is I actually switch to, can we do nested query using GraphQL? Yes. So yeah, GraphQL supports nested queries, a lot of things, right? Uh, so also in the feed, like when we begin this conversation, I think there was someone in the feed, right? Um, Yeah, so someone asked me like, "Hey, I know Sockle very well. Same situation as me. I know Sockle. Like, I can write Sockle pretty fluently." But someone was like, is there a tool, right, to convert this Sockle directly into GraphQL? That's gonna make it very easier without having to me work through this GraphQL, right? That's a very good question. I did some more research, asked people internally at Salesforce here. You know what? Somebody actually from our customer success group has been working on a tool actually. So I'm gonna just share this tool with you all. It's very bare bone, honestly, at this point, but it actually does certain things. Like for example, if you write a nested socket like this, right? It does give you a GraphQL. Like I was able to do this socket. Like you can take a socket and it's gonna give you a GraphQL like this, right? That's so awesome actually. So we can prettify this, so you can see it has a GraphQL. So it basically translates that. Now this is a great tool actually, open source also, but my only thing is it's in beta and it's not Salesforce supported, it's community maintained, and there are things that are not supported here, right? But if you want like simple queries to translate and learn, this is a really a great tool, and feel free to like use it or enhance it. But you know what? The best part is to learn these GraphQL queries actually, to write them, because see, this is GraphQL is a skill now, industry wide skill, and you tomorrow. I mean, today you're working with Salesforce. Maybe there's some other system that you are consuming within LWC, and they provide GraphQL, right? You should be knowing how to write these GraphQL. It's just like learning soccer, right? I mean, you should be knowing how it works, etc. So we've done a lot of sessions on our YouTube channel, especially I think I remember me doing a GraphQL session, so you can go there. Today I'm gonna show you how to work with that. So one of the tools that I use, and there are so many tools out there, and one of the tools that I use primarily for this is a client called Altair GraphQL client. Again, this is open source, and you can get this installed on your computer as well. It's open source, free on Mac, on browser. There are a lot of things that they support. So how do we get to work here with this, right? Pretty simple. You will need the Salesforce domain, and then you say /services/data, v59, that's the version of the GraphQL that you want, /GraphQL, and then you can start constructing your queries here. Before you test, you have to set the header like authorization, bearer, and the token. So you need token. And how do we get the token, right? So we will use Salesforce CLI for that. So again, in your code builder or when you're working in your VS Code, you have access to the terminal. You've already authenticated your org. Like for example, here I'm already authenticated to the org that I'm building this on. So you have access to um, command. So one of my favorite command is sf org list. So I think it's org display, but sf org list, it's listing all the orgs. But then there's a command called sf org display that displays the details. So this has access token. So all I do is copy this access token, just copy this access token and put it into my Altair client here and save this. That's it. So now I will be able to write GraphQL query. So let's write the GraphQL query that I want to write. So I want to query, so So here, this is how you actually start, right? So you start by doing operations that are supported, right? Query is the one that we support, and you can look at docs actually, right? So docs will tell you what we support. So as you can see, we support query and mutation, but mutations are not supported at in it's small, right? This is small. Okay. Let me blow up a bit, see if I can blow up. But really, the idea is same. Mutations are not supported. um can I zoom this? Okay, that's better. So mutations are not supported, only queries are supported. So we start with that. So we can close the docs, but we can start with that. So we'll say query, and then the name of the query, right? That is how GraphQL works. So in this case, I can say properties, or you can say get properties, right? And then and this is where it will start helping us. So if I type UI API, so under so that's the top level, like query, right? Under that you have UI API, so you select that, and then you see it will keep assisting me. So I want queries within UI query, so I can say query. And this whole thing, you can see it in docs actually. So if you look at docs, if you go to query, it will tell you UI API, and the rate limit is what is supported, it's depreciated. So when I go to the UI API, I have query, aggregate, object info. So these are all the things that are supported. I go to the query and I can see all the objects, right? So it's always helpful to have docs. And then let me actually blow up the font for this too. Is everyone okay with the font here? Let's see if there is a setting to blow up the font here. Settings. Okay, let's blow it up to maybe 22. Let's see. Okay, so that's much better. This actually blowed up a bit. All right, so let's see where we are here. Okay, so here we are. So queries. So what are we querying today? We are querying for the properties, right? So it starts with, so as soon as you do object, it will automatically suggest me. So I can say property, and then I just need to put the fields that I want. The way the GraphQL works is it will have edges. So all your objects are converted into edges. They have nodes, and then they have relationships. So we say edges, click on the edges, and note that the the edges, and then we go into the node. That's how the GraphQL works. And then we have ID. That's our first field. Maybe we need name. I need name. What are the fields that we need? Let's just quickly fill it out. The next field that I might need is address. Address. Again, the value. What else are we using? Let's see. Let's go back to this. Let me actually pull this tab here. There you go. So I can see the query. Sorry, I just want to blow this one up. Okay, I have a lot more tabs now. So let's close this. I don't need that. But all the fields that I need is address, city, state, description. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so I need address, I need city. Okay, city. I also need what was the field? I also need state value. I need the description. Okay, maybe price and bath. Okay, well, just for the demonstration purposes, right? I'll not copy. I'm not going to copy all the fields, but let me just add few here. Like I know bath, the ones that are used in the filter at least, like bath, bed, those kind of things. So bath, you see it auto suggest, right? So that's really neat. Bath, and then bed, pets. These are number of pets. Uh, I think this is good for time being. All right, so let's see if I run this query, what happens. So you see, it's actually giving me the results fine. But okay, so it's actually giving me the results. As you can see, I'm seeing all the values. Let's close the stock. So I'm seeing all the values. So it's actually working. So this GraphQL is working. But we need more than that. Actually, we need to add some pagination too, because as you can see, this one. So if you look at here, right, there are no errors. But then how many of them were returned, right? We need to paginate this rather than just returning everything, right? I think it's returning all the records, but imagine if it's like 200 records or something, right? Space oddity, very interesting. Will you save this stream? Yes, sir. We are. This stream will be also recorded and put it on our YouTube channel. Okay, so you can have that, and the same URL that you've streamed to, you can bookmark. You can come back. We keep all our streams recorded too. All right, so that's there. Next thing we need to do. So let's add pagination, right? So this is good as I said, but we need to add the pagination. And to explore the pagination thing, right? We again go back to the doc. I can see so UI APIs, right? Let's see. So queries. So when I go to my queries, come back to my fragments. Let's look at. So I have query into the query, and then we went to the property. Why it's actually slow. Anyway, so this I'm not gonna work with this because it's slow. I know where to add. So basically, your edges, like your objects, right, also has this ability to add pagination actually. Um, so let's see. So for example, if I go here, can I get the page info? You see. So your edges have pagination info with them, just like any other. So after your nodes, basically, so once your edges end, these objects also have this pagination info. So let's add pagination. Like we'll add the end cursor. We'll add. So this implements a relay specification for pagination. So I'm gonna add all the has previous. So let's actually now send the request. We send the request, and we have the pagination info. So it has next page, yes, true, has previous page, false. So it is paginated, right? It is paginated. So we have added the pagination. So it basically depends on the next cursor here. Okay, so we have added pagination, but now I also want to sort this. Okay, so I want to sort this. So let's add the sorting behavior. So to add the sorting behavior, again, you'll have to go to the object, just open and close bracket like this, because that's where you can start adding functions like pagination and filtering, right? All right, so what I'm gonna do here is so again, just type, it will show up like order by property. Yes, that's what I want. And in this order by property, it'll always, the order by is it's an object in itself. um, and then we need the price. So price is what I'm aggregating by, and again, price is an object like this. um, can we format the value using display value property? That's correct. So display value property allows you to change the things, like for example, if you want to do some concatenation with some other variables or naming, you can do that. So yeah, display allows you to do certain things. um, let me show you that actually, if you have some questions on that. So order, so in this order we can do an ascending. So for example, if you, let's say for here, right, we want to add a display value to, um, so let's say I wanted to add some kind of a display value. I can, I think. So display value, what does that display value send request? So display value was null for that. But I think you can actually change things with the display value. Maybe we can change things. Let's see. When we can use Epic, we can't query more than 50 records. Wonder if we can do that using GraphQL. Yes, I mean GraphQL you can do that because we implement the relay and the pagination, so you can keep providing. Okay, I'm not gonna get into your question actually, Atanu. I think I have produced content where I've shown you how to like use that display value. I just don't remember at the top of my head at this point. I have to probably go back and look at it. But anyway, so let's keep moving. So now I've ordered and sorted this whole thing by price. So let's send the request. So as you can see, now it is sorting by price, right? So you see it is in the ascending order. So $650,000 comes next and 690 comes next, and then it probably goes up to a million. Probably it's not less than that, but then it also has these things, right? We also have okay, cool. Um, all right, so we added that sorting behavior. That's how you add the sorting behavior. You just put order by, and that gives you the sorting behavior. Now the next thing I want to do is, so after sorting, let's add the filters. Remember that what we are building this one for this experience where the filters will come like search key, the max price will come, the number of bedrooms will come, right? So we want to pass down that information to the query so that we can filter. That means we need where clauses so that we can filter all these things. Max payload size that we can pass by GraphQL, it will be very similar to the other APIs. I think 5 or 6 MB, something like that. I don't remember at the top of my head at this point, but it's the max of JSON value that you can pass. So it usually is somewhere between 5 to 6 MB. I will have to check the docs for that, Niket. All right. So next, actually, let's go back here, and next, what I want to do is add the filters. So we added this. The next thing is add the where clause. So to add the where clause, right, and that is where it gets a little more complex and also interesting. So to add the where clause again, you can use the property, right? So in the property, we have added the order by. I like the order by, so we can a little more format this better. So order by, so we can add a where clause similarly like that here. So we say where clause. Now in the where clause, right, it's always an object like this, right? But then if you have to add filters, like for example in this case I want to add an and filter, it's an array because an and filter will be of different things. So and filter is one thing, right? So where and, so now in this and filter, right? So let's look at the filter that we have in our Apex class. Do we have, so we have name like this, and then we have two or conditions, and then we have three and conditions, cd and tags. Okay, I'm not gonna be bothering about cd. Let's just focus on name, probably like query, and then probably the city at this point, right? Okay, so to do that, what I will need to do is again an or value. So and, right, and then we will open an object because this will be an object, and then or value because we need an or here. So or, so we are oring these two. Remember, we are oring name like this or city, right? So these two things we are doing an or clause. So we need name like this, right? So we need a thing called name here, and then name, and then we need a like. Okay, so here is where it gets interesting, right? So like I can say, okay, one sec. So let's think through this. Yeah, because we have, okay, so here's the interesting part, right? So this will come as a variable, right? So that is the next concept that I want to talk about is you can pass a variable to the GraphQL query. So let's actually construct that. So for example, search key will be my variable. So let's actually do that. So all the variables start with dollar like this, and then the variable name search key, and then the data type for that, which will be string in my case, right? String, as you can see. So now I can pass down this thing. So I can say, name will be equal to the search query. You see, that fixed the thing, right? So the next thing is we're gonna also do a city. Can we retrieve parent record with GraphQL? Yes, you can do that. So this was the question I want to show. And yes, all those things are possible. Like, all those aggregation queries and stuff like that. Everything is possible like that. There is a dedicated session that I did on codeLive. If you search in our YouTube channel, you'll find that. Okay, cool. Let's keep moving because my progress have been really slow on this. So the next thing that I want to do is do a city. Uh, so city, again, city. So here, the same thing, right? So I can even copy paste this like this. So these are the two on. So for city, I will pass down the city like this. So again, the search key itself is passed. So I think I can use that. Okay, so we are right, and then we next create. So these are the or, right? So we or this, and then next thing we do is we create an and, right? So again, comma, right? And with the price, right? So look, we are constructing this query, so we already constructed these. Now we need to put another this everything goes in the and clause here, right? So in the and clause, it's different way of writing, right? But the and clause should be price less than or equal to, right? So we say here, so I'm gonna be again anything like here goes like this. So price, why is it why is it okay, why is it doing like this? So it should be, yeah, I think it should be price underscore c, price underscore c. I don't know why it's not like, we'll figure it out. So, oh, I know why. I know why. I know exactly why. I know exactly why. Because I think it has to be here. There you go. All right. So price, and then we go here. And again, remember that price is a, a currency field, right? So we're gonna say less than or equal to. You see, less than or equal to, and then the value that we pass. So again, it will be dollar, and then let's say the max price as our variable here. So we're gonna say max price. So max price. So next, what I want to do is have that max price here, dollar max price, and then this will be of the value currency. So there should be a currency data type like this. All right. So you see, so we constructed an and. So it is doing an and of this whole thing, which is first an or of these two, and then we have the price, and the next thing that we have is, so what is the other field that we have? Beds, right? So we can say beds. So beds, um again, I think it's greater than or equal to this time. So greater than or equal to, let's call that variable as min bedrooms or something like that. Min bedrooms, right? So min bedrooms is of type, so we can add here. So dollar min bedrooms of type. What is the type of main bedrooms here? So the type of main bedrooms is double. There you go. That is done. There is also another filter called baths, and again, that's just the same thing, except the field name gets changed here. You can just copy paste if you want, and I can just change the field. Okay, so here will be main bath. bots, let's say min bots. And again, we go here and say dollar. What's that? Dollar. And again, this is of double type. All right. All right. So I think this adds. So this adds the filtering that we need. Again, we are able to pass the values from here. We are able to add the filtering that we need for our stuff, right? Uh, we also need to pass certain more things like page size and stuff like that, which we will get into it sooner as we put this inside the thing, right? But it makes it. How about we add the page size too? Okay, so we add the page size. So we go here and then we say, okay, we want the page size. So again, it will be here. So there's a variable called first. So that says here you can pass the page size. So let's say dollar page size, and this will be of type integer. Do they have integer? Yes. And page size will be required. So you can make a variable required by just putting a bang like this at the end. So now you can go here and say first, and then we can go here and say page size. You can bring that here down here, right? Like this. Okay. Okay. So how about we test this query so far? So we've been building this query, right? But I think we have got all the infrastructure at this point built out in this query, and it'll be a matter of just plugging this query now into our GraphQL to see the actual data on our client side. But before that, we test that. So you see this variable sections. So variable is where you can actually create some variables that you pass here, like for example, search key, max price, etc. So min bedrooms, why is it? Okay, and then we have first. So we're gonna page size could be 4. Why is it showing an error? One sec. It's called the variable is called page size. We don't need this. Okay, so I think I've got it. Even you can put the search key too, but I think we have got this page size variable, which was mandatory. So you can put the variables. It's just a JSON. So you put a JSON here in your here, and let's send the request. So our query is actually working. So you can see that with minimum 1 bedroom and the max price as $1 million, we say, okay, so page size was 1. That's what we say. Okay, what happens if I say page size is 5? You get 5 results. Okay, so I got 5 results. Um, and then it also gave me the end cursor. Okay, cool. Okay, so I think the query is almost working. There's a question here in terms of performance, which is better, SQL or GraphQL? Uh, Here's my take on that actually. So this whole GraphQL thing, once you get your GraphQL right and put it, you will see that for pagination and for filtering, all these things, it's way faster than you write your own Apex and stuff like that. I've written multiple of these now, and I can easily say that they've integrated this with Lightning Data Service, and you don't have to take care of like field level security and all those things, right? So there are a lot of improvements that I got in terms of performance just by converting, just by using GraphQL. So hopefully that answers your question. All right, so we have the GraphQL. How about we copy this? So now we constructed GraphQL. We spent considerable amount of time working on the GraphQL here. And how about we get back to our VS Code? Where did our code builder go? We lose our code builder. Oh no, here it is. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is go back here, and then instead of this whole thing, right? Sorry, my dictionary popped up. So instead of this whole stuff here, let's actually come down. Come down. I think this is where you put the GraphQL query. So we put our GraphQL query, and we can use prettier, so we don't need this anymore. So I'm gonna get rid of these things, right? I'm gonna get rid of these things, and so one of the other things I want is definitely I don't want these things to here because it's no more required. And the other thing that I want is to prettify this a bit. So can I use format? Okay, did it format better? Okay, I want my prettier. Okay, so how do we get the prettier? Let's do an npm install. Let's get all the node modules because it has prettier. That's going to help me prettify my code. You could do by hand, but it just a lot of time consuming work. All right, so we have all the prettier here. How about we go Command Shift P and then just window reload. Okay, let our extensions load, and then I will just prettify this. You should see the prettier here at the bottom. How's everyone feeling so far? Thumbs up if you are able to follow me. Okay, so you see the prettier is saying it's loaded fine, but we go here and format. Okay, so it did the format for me. Query. Okay, so now you are able to pass these things: search key, max, min, bedrooms, min, and page. And then we have the query. It also formatted our query pretty nicely. I like that. All right, so we are getting somewhere, right? We are definitely getting somewhere here. Let's move on. So in this case, our page size is n. So now the thing is, we need to set these things like, so we said dollar search key. So we have passed dollar search key, max price, min bedrooms, min. So we need to set these. I think where are we setting those, right? So that is the next thing that we want to look at here. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at where are we basically doing this. Let me think through here. All right, so the next thing that we want to do is set these things, right? All right, so the concept, okay, so once we have this, so we call it as GraphQL. um, Maybe we don't want to call this just GraphQL here. Let's say GraphQL response. Let's call it as GraphQL response. So this is the variable where we will have the response from the GraphQL. Uh, Now, what we need here is, you see these variables, they need to go into the GraphQL from our client-side code, right? How do we do that? I want to take a help of recipes app because they show me some of the examples there of how to use those variables. So we go here, GraphQL recipes. Let's look at how they're building these recipes. So basically they say variables. Okay, so we will put those. We'll also put the variables there. So we go back here. So right after this, I think they said variables. I think just put a comma here. Let's prettify again. Okay, so variables, right? So this is dollar variables, but we need a method to populate that. I'm gonna minimize this. We don't need it anymore. And then also close this. Okay, so here, right? So how are they doing get variables? So they have get variables method, and that is what feeds the variables here. And these variables, like search key, should match exactly what is there in this variable. So that's how it works. So there's a search key here, and then we define all those things at the top, and then use get method to populate them, right? So let's actually do that. So we go here, come back. I'm gonna create a method here called get variables, just like how they have created one, right? um, and then let's see what we need to do here. So get variables. So I think they return those variables, so we are also going to do that same thing. Return. Here they had their own search key, so but we have our own variables here. So what are those variables, right? So for us, our variables are page size for sure. Page size. So that's one of the variables that we have. Let's see if we, what do we call it as page size. Okay, that makes sense. Did we call that same here too? Okay, yeah, makes sense. So we have page size. The other variables are like max price. Now max price. So max price, right? Um, did we call it as max price? Yes, we called it as max price. Max price. Sorry, max price. Okay, so max price. But where is this value getting? Where are we getting this value from, though? So we're getting this value from the max price, right? Why is this throwing an error here? Okay, that's because I have this one as this. Okay. Okay, what is this error? It says page size is not defined. Why is page size not defined? Okay, let's see. Page size equals page size. Why is it not? Maybe we just say this dot page size here. So page size. Okay, let's verify. So we have page size as int. Page size as int. We also have page size at the top. Okay, so maybe we just have to say this dot page size. There you go. Okay, so the next thing we have is all the variables. We need all the variables. Min bedrooms. Okay, min bedrooms. I think, what did we call this min bedrooms as? Min bedrooms like this. Okay. All right, so we say min bedrooms, and then I think the other variables that was there was min bath and search key. Okay, so min bath is this dot in. Okay, so we called it as min bathrooms. Okay, yeah, that should be fine. Okay, so min bath is min bathrooms here, and what is the other variable that we had? Search price. Oh, sorry, search key. So you see, when the filter is getting changed there, we are populating these, and this get variable function will run, and that will populate these, so it can send to the. Is it possible to use LWC in mobile and FSL app? Yes. So Kaushik Ray is asking this question. Definitely yes, Kaushik. It's possible. All right, so we go here and say main bar. So the last thing we want to do is search key. So search key, I think we call it as search key. So there you go. So this dot search key. So now we are passing the variables back here. Okay. All right. So we've coded, I would say, that the JavaScript here, and by default it takes the value here. By default, the search key also is. Now the other thing is, this is a like query actually, right? Let's look at our query here. So like query, right? So like query means this search key needs to be needs to have these characters here. There you go. Okay, so you know how like queries work, right? Wildcard characters. So we added that. Uh, yeah, so we are almost time actually. I think I got chance to build these out. We have to test this and then wire this up to the front end, and probably have to massage the data here and there, and then also work a bit on our pagination, like how are we going to handle the cursors and the paginations here. So I have got another code live session that I have scheduled for 16th of this month, which is 2 weeks from now. I am going to make sure that we'll have another session on this so we can keep coding, and we will continue from there. And hopefully this was helpful. If it was, just thumbs up. If you need more code live sessions like this, just thumbs up and show your support, so we can get more of these sessions for you. All right, with that, I think we are end of time. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, and then hopefully this was so useful to everyone here. I think we are live coding it. Um, just like live coding, it actually takes more time than we obviously expect, because everything is live. But overall, right, I'm excited that we were able to get through code something really live. And I hope to see you on the next one, where we will continue and finish this work and show you a complete working LWC. That Thank you again so much.